guys, and welcome to my first audio Walking Dead chat. Before I even get started into explaining what this is or anything else like that, I just kind of wanted to say, if you are not entirely caught up with The Walking Dead, I highly advise against maybe not listening to this just yet. Because though we are going to be focusing on specific episodes, we do talk about things in the future, big spoilers and stuff like that. So I just want to get that spoiler warning out of the way for anybody who might not be entirely caught up to the new season. But I basically just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about what this is. So for a while now, I have been really wanting to do a chat like these, audio only, because I kind of wanted these to be long chats, and there's something about the fact that when you have audio only, you guys can kind of listen to it while you're doing other stuff. You don't really have to be sitting in front of your computer or your TV or your tablet or whatever it is that you happen to watch YouTube videos on. So this kind of has a podcasty feel, but it's kind of just an audio series where I take something very similar to my weekly chats and kind of dive into some episodes from the past. So another reason that I really wanted to do this for The Walking Dead, leading up to the season 9 premiere, one, I had this opportunity to do so. I think it's something, for doing a countdown to The Walking Dead, I don't have, a ton of webisodes or minisodes or things to react to. So I wanted to give you guys something that maybe, I hope at least, you guys will enjoy, that might be a little bit different than the regular, videos or content that you get on my channel. There is going to be 8 of these, and another reason why I kind of wanted to do this was I really love the Walking Dead reaction community. And though I will say this, I could not do this with every single reactor out there. There are going to be 8 of these throughout this 20-day countdown, and there are going to be 8 different reactors, picking one episode from each season. Maybe they will be some reactors that you know and love, and maybe there will be some reactors that you haven't heard of, and maybe you can go check out and find somebody new and some great new channels. I am so thankful to every single reactor who responded and, said that they would be down to do this. I maybe hope to do more in the future. So maybe if your favorite reactor isn't a part of it, maybe they will be in the future. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to see how these go first. So basically what these chats are basically just conversations about a particular episode. I drew seasons out of a hat for every single reactor that I talked to, and they were able to choose whatever episode of that season that they particularly loved and really wanted to take a look back into. I had no say, and I kind of liked it that way because then the reactors will hopefully be kind of passionate about whatever episode that they chose, and I'm really, really excited. So this one right here is TS-19, the season finale of season 1 of The Walking Dead, and let me tell you, it was crazy to go back and rewatch this episode in order to do this chat. Today I am chatting with Nick from his channel is Mischief Maker, and I will put all of the links for all of his, his channel and everything like that down below. And what a sweet and amazing guy. He just recently hit 1,000 subscribers, so go give him a congratulations in the comments and definitely make sure that you check him out. I am really excited to share this series with you guys. I hope you guys are really excited for this audio series, and yeah, let's get right into this chat.
We're on easy street, and it feels so sweet, 'cause the world is but a treat when you're on easy street.
Hey guys, and welcome to my first Walking Dead chat that we are going to be doing to take a look back at some episodes from way back when. This episode in particular is really way back when, and I am joined today. I am here with Nick. Nick, how are you doing today?
I am doing good, Jess. How are you?
I'm doing great. I kind of have allergies, so I'm going to apologize to everybody if you hear sniffles.
That's okay. I probably have allergies too.
It is just, I don't know. It's not even supposed to be that time of year, but I right now feel like I'm dying. So yeah, I'm just going to get right into this. And when did you start watching The Walking Dead? Was it like when it started airing, or was it much later?
Much later, because I think it was around fall 2016, because most people I know are like, oh, have you seen The Walking Dead? I'm like, nah, I'm not really into zombies. But like, oh, it's not really about zombies much, it's about people. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I could give it a shot. So I just went on Netflix, and I was like, I hope I don't regret this. I watched the first episode, and I was like, that was actually pretty good. I hope I don't get attached to characters. And then I met Glenn.
And it was all over.
Yep. And it became one of my favorite shows.
Now, was it one of when you started your channel, did you know you were going to react to The Walking Dead, and that was like, one of the things that you started with, or did that
not
come
when
later?
I started. Not when I started, because by the time I started reacting, season 7 was already over.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
I officially started reacting with season 8.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So recently,
yeah,
kind of a year ago.
I guess I'm a newcomer to it.
Yeah. And so how does it feel, the transition between like just watching on your own and then reacting? Does it feel different to you at all?
Not really, because even when I'm not reacting to it, I still react the same, because The Walking Dead is one of those shows where I'm almost always excited because it's just that good of a show.
Yeah.
So like, even when I'm not reacting on camera, I still, whether it's screaming or crying, I hate crying on camera, but basically I react the same even when I'm not on camera.
Yeah. It's insane. I rewatched this episode. We are going to be talking about the season 1 finale way back when.
Way back.
Yeah, and I rewatched this episode, and it was so crazy to me, just sitting there and seeing all of these, dead people.
The feels.
Now alive. I'm just like, oh my God, it is such... There's only like, out of the group, 3 of them still alive?
Rick, Daryl, and Carol.
It's so depressing when you think about it. I mean, at least I guess you can't say that the show like doesn't have the balls to kill off characters.
Yeah.
But,
it's still sad.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you go back to these episodes. You kind of still you get just like automatic feels, because you're like, oh my God, I miss when this person was on the show and this person was on the show, especially going back to the first season.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a completely different cast.
Yeah, I know.
So the episode starts off with a flashback of Shane and Rick in the hospital, where, Shane kind of, as much as he can, I believe, saves Rick. How did you feel about that when you first saw it, if you can even remember? Like, did you think that, were you surprised about that? Or was that what you expected to see?
I wasn't overly surprised, because even though Shane did end up going a little insane in season 2, at the end of the day, he and Rick still were best friends despite their differences and despite his affair with Lori. They were still best friends, so it wasn't really a surprise. I do admire him for doing everything he could, and even though he did think Rick was dead, I do give him credit for trying at least, since they were best friends.
Right. I think,
So I
yeah,
wasn't really surprised.
I think that, it was a nice, because I feel with the affair and stuff like that, they're kind of, throughout this season 1, they were kind of painting Shane to be the worst guy ever.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he didn't turn out great.
No.
But it was kind of nice to see, he was trying, and from all he knew, Rick was probably dead.
Yep.
I mean, as much as I understand Lori's frustration with Shane,
Mm-hmm.
I also am like, I mean, the odds were really against Rick living.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre that he actually made it out of there.
Yeah, I know.
So in this episode, there was also one of the more uncomfortable scenes between Shane and Lori. How did you feel about the affair? Do you blame them? Were you anti Shane and Lori because of that? And how did you feel about, for those of you who haven't seen the episode in a while, I'm talking about the scene where Shane kind of gets a little sexually aggressive with Lori. I think that's the nicest way to put it.
The affair at first, I wasn't really anti Shane and Lori. I think in a way I almost understood because they did think Rick was dead, so I kind of understood. But when Shane got aggressive with her, I was like, no, that is not okay. Like, I get it. It's okay for you to love Lori. It's okay for you to love Carl. That's fine. But Rick is here. They're married. You can't just do that. That's not something you can do.
Yeah.
So my initial reaction was like, no, that's not okay.
Well, it's also, I mean, I think some people would use the excuse that he was drunk, because I believe he was a few bottles of wine in, but it's just, I mean, it's just one of the more uncomfortable things to watch. And for me, it made me feel bad for Lori. I know that she gets a lot of hate, and a lot of people don't like Lori too much, but for me, I felt for her.
She had her flaws, but she wasn't the worst.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely had flaws, but I feel like people are human, and the Shane and Lori thing, it didn't bug me like it did a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, they're literally watching people die left and right, surviving together. It's not the most bizarre thing that they ended up getting physical, in my opinion. But I think that whole scene might have been a bit, I don't know. I think maybe the start of Shane kind of going down a very dark path.
That's what I think. I think the finale was where he really started to lose it.
Yeah.
Going into season 2.
Yeah, he did have a moment, I believe it was in the episode before, where he had his gun on Rick, and he was just sort of
I think so.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, there were hints that he was maybe not
going
the
sanest.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this episode, we get into the CDC, and it is such a contrast to the first 5 episodes of the season, because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff with what was going on in the CDC, but first, I think we should talk about, how strange it was to see everybody happy. And they had a family dinner and they got hot showers. How bizarre was that to see, do you think?
It was definitely a little bizarre, but at the same time, that's one of my favorites. That scene with them at dinner, laughing, drinking, and laughing.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite scenes because despite since this is before we all loved Daryl and everything, because Daryl was a bit of a jackass in season one, but despite all their differences with each other, I love that just for a few minutes before everything goes to shit, they can all just be happy, drinking, and laughing. That's what I love about that moment.
And I think after you go through so much shit with people,
Hmm.
like it makes it a lot easier. I think you can unwind quicker. I
Yeah,
don't know if that makes sense, but like those moments are very precious and don't happen.
definitely.
I love the next morning hungover Glenn is probably one of my favorite.
I miss
Poor
him so
Glenn.
much.
I know. And like he grew, I feel like the
Oh
most out of like
yeah,
a lot of the characters. I mean, maybe not more than Carol. I feel like she takes the cake with like
yeah,
character
definitely
development.
Carol.
But it's just so funny to see Glenn be that kind of he was kind of the cute sidekick,
He's like the
sweet
comic
guy.
relief of the group.
Yeah. And just to see how much he's grown is just
I'm forever better about his death.
I know. I know. It's it probably is the worst one
Yep.
for me. Knocking on wood for this coming up season because
Oh God,
I'm not ready. Or
I'm gonna
if
need therapy
listen,
and why?
well, we don't know. We don't know.
That's true.
Deep breaths. We're gonna need to like start like some sort of like therapy chat. I feel like for season
Yep.
9. I don't think we're gonna be. Oh man. And so we got to meet who I actually think is one of the better like single episode characters in Jenner. Um,
Mm.
I thought he was a really interesting uh, character. And how did you feel about? Did you trust him when we first met
Um,
him, or were you like anybody suspicious?
I had my suspicions at first because, like, before he let them into the CDC, we could see him like watching them, and he was like hesitating to let them in. I did have my suspicions, but at the same time, I didn't think he was a really bad guy. I just think I definitely knew he was hiding something, but I didn't overly think he was really a bad guy.
Yeah, I it seemed like it's well, I'm not even sure he was really hiding. So I don't know
That's true.
because he technically just didn't give all the. I guess that means that he was hiding something. I just talked
Yeah.
myself out of that. But like I love the actor. I've seen him
Same.
in a lot of stuff, and he's brilliant on The Americans. If you've ever seen that, it's a great
I
show.
heard it's good.
But I think he was such a great cast for the amount of range that we have to see Jenner go through within, that one episode.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, at the end, he gets kind of, he starts shouting, like, and he says, "Do you know what this place is? Like, we can't, like, I let you in." And there was probably
Hmm.
a big conflict of, like, if you were in that position, would you let them in? They're pleading to, like, come
Hmm.
in. But he knew that it was only for a limited amount of time.
Yeah. I think in a way he wanted to give them hope for at first. In a way.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, he's only human. But
Yeah.
and so how did you feel about the kind of the scene that there's a lot of scenes that stick out, but one of the scenes that is pretty important is the show like confirming what happens to a person. How did you feel about the show confirming that? Did you like that? Did you wish it was more of a mystery?
I like the way they explained it. Like when Jenna was going over it, I like how he explained that like when you get bit by a walker, it invades the brain like meningitis, and
Hmm.
then it basically shuts you down, your major organs, and then you die, and then your shell comes back to life. But everything you ever were, everything you ever will be, the person that you were is just gone. All there is a shell. I like the way he explained it. How basically it's just all that comes back is a shell, and you're gone.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to think about that because, I mean, after a while, especially if we get to like this point in the show, the walkers are like literally decaying, and we've seen
Yeah.
walkers like torsos get ripped off. Like nobody can survive that. That kind of confirms the fact that it's not like an illness. Did you think that season two would have been different at all if we didn't? Because I mean, that was Herschel's whole thing was that he thought they were sick
Hmm.
and not. Do you think that how the audience received season two would have been different if we didn't know for sure that they're definitely dead?
If we were given the impression that they weren't dead and maybe they were like alive but just sick, I do think season two might have been a little different. Because since Herschel kept those walkers in the barn because he thought they were sick and alive, I think if we were led to believe the same thing, I do think it could have been different. Because maybe it would have given us hope that maybe they could be saved, or maybe there's hope or something, and that ultimately I think makes the reveal in, I think it's episode 8 of season 2, when we find out Sophia was in the barn, more heartbreaking, because I
Yeah.
feel that just shoots those hopes down.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, I mean, it is a little bizarre. I mean, the way that Shane does it in that scene where he like shoots the walker, it's
Hmm.
kind of obvious that they're still dead. But I think it is kind of a human reaction to say like we want to know what's actually happening, and we don't want to shoot our loved ones in the head if they could possibly be saved
Yeah.
from whatever is going on. Which, going into that scene where Jenner's explaining everything and we see the bullet literally go through the person,
Hmm.
test subject 19, I think was a really kind of like powerful, and I think we've seen a lot worse since.
Yeah.
But I think in that moment, it is kind of powerful to see like you're watching so closely this person's identity get sucked out, and then a bullet just goes right through.
Yep.
Just kind of brutal. How did you feel about it being his wife, and for him to be able to actually like do the study on her?
When I found out it was his wife, I was definitely shocked at first, but the way he was talking about the test subject, I could tell that it was someone maybe close to him, like he lost someone, but I thought it was like a child at first, so I thought maybe he had a kid that died.
Oh God, that would have been worse.
That would have been worse.
Jesus. Your mind goes to dark places sometimes.
Yeah.
And I find this episode to be interesting because for the first, I think it's really, like, probably like the first half of it, everybody is really happy,
Mhm.
drinking. I mean, Glenn was hungover, but he was happy the night before, probably.
Yep.
And just having like a great time, and then it just like completely does a 180 where the power starts shutting off and there's this kind of gloom and doom happening. How did you feel about the mood shift? I mean, obviously you would think that it was going to happen because it's a season finale,
Hmm.
and they weren't going to just have a whole episode of them drinking and playing board games, though that would be nice.
My thoughts about how the mood changed. At first, I was like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but something bad or something dark's going to happen. But I didn't expect it to be, oh, the power's going to shut off and you're all going to die. I didn't expect that. But I was like, oh,
Yeah, it is a bit sudden.
That's dark. It was definitely
Yeah.
a good mood change.
And just the idea of like, do you think that that's like, do you think Jenner was giving them mercy by letting them in?
In a way, yes. I think he didn't want to leave them out there. I think in a way because he saw them because like when Carol is saying like Sophia doesn't deserve to die, not like this, like she's like, wouldn't it be kinder to give her like, because he said the death would be like painless, it's quick, painless. I think he didn't want to watch them suffer. He wanted to give them good deaths.
Yeah, and if you think about, but like literally going through each and every person, and like we said at the beginning of this call, a lot of them are not with us anymore.
Nope.
And so, kind of jumping a little bit to when Jackie and Jenner, well, I think Jenner was always going to stay there, but Jackie's decision to stay behind with him. I mean, I think it's a legitimate question. What do you think? Do you think that might have been a better way to go in comparison?
I think yes and no. Yes, because it's a quick death, but at the same time, as much as I admire Jenner's decision to want to give them that quick death, I do think he was right for letting them go because it gives them their best chance to live, to survive.
Or the choice, at least.
Yeah. I like that he gave them a choice in the end.
I did like that it was Jackie and Andrea who opted out. We'll get to that a little bit. But I think there is something to be said about it. I think Jackie was at peace when she made her decision. It seemed like she did not have any sort of regrets.
Mm-mm.
She was over it. She's like, I remember watching that episode with my best friend, and my best friend was like, I mean, I would stay. And I was like, that's morbid. But she was like, listen, I'm not trying to fight zombies every day. Like, it's just not for me. So it is interesting.
Yeah.
I like that the show puts like a human face on it and not just like, oh, they're cowardly and opting out.
Yeah.
You can see their side. And so we get into, everything where shit is hitting the fan, and Jenner is talking about the fact that they're all going to die in there.
Yep.
But by the way, my favorite part of the whole episode, and I will not change this, is Daryl swinging away at that door.
Well, everyone's talking. I love Daryl.
Where, like, Jenner literally says, that thing can withstand a rocket launcher. And Daryl's like, listen, I'm still gonna do it. Don't worry about me. I mean, it just made me laugh. And it's such a serious scene. But it really did. It just makes me laugh every single time.
Yeah. Every time I rewatch it, I'm like, is Daryl just gonna keep doing that? But it's actually, it makes the moment less serious and more funny.
I mean, it is a dire situation.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious because he just, it's Daryl.
Yeah.
Maybe not the smartest decision, but he really dedicates himself.
It's a Daryl decision.
Yes, of course. And how did you feel about everything coming out where, like, Rick got drunk the night before, and he basically says, it's only a matter of time before everybody I love is dead. Which that extra hurts now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
When you think about everybody in that group. How did you feel about that coming out? And do you think that's just a human reaction for him?
I think in a way, yes, but at the same time, I think he was thinking in that moment that maybe we're all together now, but maybe one day we won't, like, because since it's a zombie apocalypse, so not everyone's going to survive at some point. We're going to lose people.
Yeah.
And so I think in that moment he knew that some people would eventually die. Yeah.
And I feel like I wouldn't say that he completely, I mean, sort of. Do you think he, was the absolute leader of the group at that point? Or do you think...
At that point, no. I think not until season 2, like, toward the end.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, maybe it's, like, pressure of, like, people looking to him for answers and stuff. But I don't know if he really assumed that leadership role just yet.
Yeah, not yet.
I think eventually he kind of just fell into it after everything. But it, I do remember everybody getting kind of upset with Rick, that he, wasn't, I don't know the best way to put it, but the most hopeful,
Yeah.
about everything. But can you blame him? Ugh.
Nah.
I mean, he's kind of right.
And Ricky is good at giving hope speeches.
It's kind of his thing,
Yeah. One of my favorites is the one in the Too Far Gone finale when he gave the speech to the governor. That's one of my favorite speeches of his.
Yeah. I think what makes his character so great, I mean, just besides the fact that he has gone through so many changes, I mean, and has grown a lot and adapted to this world. But the fact that he does, most of the time, I will say, kind of cling on to hope.
Yeah.
And the world before, and kind of wanting to rebuild that in some
definitely.
way. But we all have doubts when we're drunk,
Yep.
We could give Rick a pass.
Yep.
And I love the fact, how did you feel, we're going to kind of jump ahead in time a little bit, sort of. How did you feel about the season 7 premiere being called The Day Will Come When You Won't Be?
Oh boy. Well, I didn't know what the title was at first, because by the time I was catching up at the time, so I already knew about Glenn and Abraham. That part was spoiled for me, obviously, but I didn't know the title was The Day Will Come When You Won't Be, so when I finally caught up to season 7, I was like, oh, that's the title?
Right.
Oh boy. And in that moment, I kind of figured out, because that's basically what Jenner meant. Like, it basically means you might be grateful now, but one day everything's going to go to shit, and you might possibly wish that you stayed here.
And I don't know if that's, I mean, I think the title is, I mean, it sends chills, because I think they announced the title, I'm almost positive they announced the title before it aired live. And I remember, because I rewatched the show a lot, so I knew exactly what that was from, and I was like, oh, no. Do you think it's a direct example related to Glenn? Because out of everybody in there, Glenn had the most brutal death, right? I mean, I think that's fair to say. I mean, T-Dogs wasn't great.
Yeah, I would have liked to see
Let's say that. But do you think it's like, if Rick stayed with everyone and Glenn died in that way, is it better?
In a way, yes, because it is painless, it's quick, there's no pain and everything. But at the same time, that would mean we wouldn't get to, as much as even though Glenn does die in season 7, even though he will die eventually, it is nice to at least see our characters that we love develop and fall in love with them even more, even though anything could happen in the future. It's nice to continue falling in love with them and seeing them develop and grow.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Glenn was a perfect example of that. And we would have never had, like, everything with Maggie and the baby.
Oh, Maggie. I love Maggie.
So, I mean, I guess it's... But, I mean, I do love that was kind of hauntingly the season 7 premiere title.
Yeah.
And you're just going into it like, great, this is going to be fun. So at the end of the episode, one of the kind of big moments was everything going on between Dale and Andrea. How did you feel about, I mean, it seemed understandable that Andrea wanted to stay.
Yeah.
Given that she just lost her sister. How did you feel about everything with what happened with Dale? Him staying too and kind of guilting her to leave.
I was a little mixed about it. Like, I completely understood why, because he cares about her. He doesn't want her to die. He wants her to live, which is understandable. I completely understood. But at the same time, as much as I didn't want Andrea to die, it was her decision. So I think a part of me wanted him to respect that. But again, I completely understand why he guilted her, because he cares about her.
Right. And I don't even think maybe in his mind he thought he was guilting her as much as he did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he really was like, okay, I'm just going to stay. Like,
Yep.
I don't think it was the intent of being manipulative,
Mm-hmm.
but it was manipulative. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like, unintentional.
I do. I mean, I am one of those people who thinks that Andrea held a grudge a little too long
That's what I think.
against him. I totally understand where she was coming from, but it was,
Too long.
well, I think the way that I feel about it is just it was out of love for her.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just how I felt about it. As much as like I understand being upset, it was hard for me to really get behind the fact that she really was blaming him for a very, very long time when he just loved her. That was
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But yeah, and so another great moment. This episode has like so many little random
Yeah.
wonderful moments. But then, first of all, can we talk about how hilarious it is as soon as the door goes down, Daryl is like mid-swing.
Oh my god.
And he's like, guys, let's go. Like, he's just like rallying the troop. I mean, Daryl just made me laugh in this episode. Like, he just gets drunk and then starts swinging out a door for forever.
God, I love Daryl.
But one of the best parts is them trying to get out. And, of course, now it's no surprise to us. But sweet, beautiful Carol just randomly coming out with a grenade that's just in her purse.
Oh my god.
I find it to be just the most endearing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and because this is way before Carol becomes a badass. And she's just like, oh, guys, do you want a grenade? We're like,
it was so random.
Like, thanks, Carol. Do you think it was realistic that they got out of the CDC in time?
A little bit. I think because they had to get out, because if they didn't, there'd be no show, obviously.
Well, yes.
I like that they got out, because they basically got out like right before the building went up in flames, like 20 seconds. But yeah, I think in a way it was realistic, but I think that what I like in that moment, because the stakes were high, because if they didn't get out, because then they'd all die. But yeah, I think in a way it was a little realistic.
It was, obviously they had to get out. I did think it was like kind of a short amount of time, and that explosion was, man, the effects of that explosion just
were really good.
So good. The best.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can really see the budget of The Walking Dead. Especially back then. I mean, that was before people really watched it.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I think it was, I would say around season 2 was kind of when it started getting like decently
really
popular.
Good.
And then like each year more and more people started watching it.
Yeah.
Like you at some point.
Yep.
What else were you I'm just curious, was there anything else that you were spoiled on before watching?
Aside from Glenn and Abraham, not really. I mean, I was spoiled a couple of deaths from the earlier seasons. Like, Lori I was spoiled with, which I didn't know I was going to get emotional. Like, Lori was never my favorite, but her death was actually kind of emotional.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's one of the worst ones.
Because it was her saying goodbye to Carl, and I was like, oh no, don't do this to me.
Yeah.
And I knew Andrew was going to die, because someone told me that, and I feel like they were setting it up, and I loved Andrea, but I wasn't as emotional with her death, because in season 3 she kind of annoyed me a bit with her whole governor storyline with her.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I was a little sad to see her go. I think the one death I wasn't spoiled was Herschel. That one got me.
Oh yeah.
That gets me
Oh
every
no.
time.
Oh my god.
Um,
Yeah, I it's interesting because when you read the comics, sometimes you know certain things are coming,
yeah.
but the show like swaps them out for like
Yeah.
different characters sometimes. And so you think you're going to lose somebody,
But it
and
could be
then
someone else.
it turns out to be somebody else, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And like I remember when I watched season 1, I was one of the few who watched from the beginning. um, but I remember waiting for Shane to get it because he makes it a lot longer in the show than in the well, maybe not a lot longer, but longer in the show than in the comics. And I remember like every single moment I was like, is this gonna be it? Like, is he gonna die? But
Yeah.
I'm actually really happy because they did great with Shane.
Yeah, and the actor was really good.
A lot of people didn't like him, but they did wonderful with his character.
Yeah. He's good as the Punisher, too.
Yeah.
John
Oh my
Bernthal.
god. Oh my god. So good. I was, when the Punisher got announced. Sorry, guys, we're going to take a little detour into the Punisher. When the Punisher got announced, I was like, it sounds weird, but like when somebody from like your favorite show gets cast in such a like big role, you're like proud, you know? I was like, oh, my baby. Like,
he does really good as the Punisher.
Yeah, absolutely
really
amazing. Yeah, guys, if you haven't watched The Punisher, you should check it out.
And he's in season 2 of Daredevil, too.
Yeah, that's kind of where he starts off. So, oh my god. Both amazing. Those 2 seasons, Punisher season 1 and Daredevil season 2, are my 2 favorite Marvel Netflix seasons.
I still haven't seen The Punisher. I've only seen 1 episode.
Oh, well, okay. Well, you should watch it.
Pretty good so far. I think it's more violent than the other Netflix shows. It's way more violent.
Oh, for sure.
But it's good, though, because it's The Punisher. How can it not be violent?
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. My favorite. I'm so excited for season 2. Are you reacting to that, or are you just watching it on your own?
I reacted to the first episode when it first came out, but then I eventually stopped because then the winter hiatus came back and all my shows came back, so I didn't have time.
Yeah.
I could do it in the future, but at the same time, I'm hesitant with Netflix shows because then I know a lot of people get copyright strikes from Netflix, so I'm hesitant a little bit.
Netflix is weird.
Yeah, it's like 1 minute they're like lenient, but next it's like, oh, we're going to give you a strike. I'm like, make up your mind.
I get random. I haven't gotten a strike yet, but I'm very cautious with Netflix shows because they're just, yeah. I know people who have gotten strikes, and then some people they're fine with. It just it doesn't make any sense.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, Netflix.
Yeah. There's some of those. I mean, I feel like with some companies, you know what you're going to get. Like, you know if something's going to get blocked right away. But yeah, like, Netflix is for sure the like weird child of the that are just like they randomly decide that they don't like you anymore. And like, I'm gonna block all your videos. Like, thanks. I wanted to spend today disputing everything. All right. So guys, I am going to be ending all of these chats with a little game. And it's basically going to be kind of a this or that would you rather Walking Dead edition.
Oh, boy.
And you guys can listen, just so you guys know, because this is going to be the first chat. But just so you guys know, there's going to be 8 of these chats total, 1 for every season. And so you guys will be able to see, there'll be the same questions for everybody. So you'll be able to see how everybody else answers as well. As these things get uploaded. So I'm just going to ask you, there are 15 questions. And just the first thing that comes to your mind. Some of them are a little difficult.
Okay.
And some of them are a little morbid. Maybe a little.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right. So, would you rather have an endless supply of food or an endless supply of weapons?
I would go with endless supply of food. Definitely.
Who would you rather babysit your kids, Negan or the governor?
Oh my god. Oh god. Oh, I would say Negan because even though Negan was Negan,
Mm-hmm.
he was pretty good with Judith. I don't think Negan would ever hurt a kid. I mean, like a baby kid or like a toddler.
Yeah, depending on the age.
Yeah, because I think the governor wouldn't hesitate. But Negan, I would do Negan because Negan at least has a somewhat twisted conscience. It's just twisted.
Yes. I like your thinking. I see where you're going with it.
Hmm.
Um, would you rather spend a summer road tripping in the RV with Dale or spend a summer farming with Herschel?
I would probably say farming with Herschel because Herschel is one of my favorite characters, and I think he was a really wise person. So it would be really cool to learn from him because, yeah, that'd just be really cool. And as much as I love Dale so much, but it would just be really cool to learn from Herschel.
Yeah. Who would you rather be by your side and loyal to you throughout the entire apocalypse, Aaron or Jesus?
Probably Aaron.
Yeah,
I mean, I love Jesus, but I'd probably pick Aaron.
yeah. All right. Who would you rather be stuck in a prison cell with, Merle or Simon?
Merle, because I don't want Simon unleashing his full Trevor Phillips on me. So probably Merle.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Would you rather be alive and a cannibal or a walker chained to Negan's fence?
Oh God. Uh. Oh my God. It's a hard one because I don't want to be a cannibal. Oh my God. I guess Walker because I don't want to be a cannibal.
Yeah, okay. Would you rather live in a community with Gregory as the leader or with Spencer as the leader?
Spencer. I pick anyone over Gregory.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
You answered quick on that one. You were like, fuck
I
Gregory.
hate Gregory with a burning passion.
Would you rather eat a tub of chocolate pudding with Carl on a rooftop or get drunk on moonshine in a shack with Daryl and Beth?
I'd probably get drunk.
Yeah. Would you rather the show give a flashback to Glenn and Maggie's wedding or finally show what in the hell happened to Heath?
Oh God. Well, I feel like I would definitely say the wedding because I'm pretty sure we're supposed to find out what happens to Heath eventually at some point. At least I think that's what they said.
So you'd rather get that flashback if you could. Yeah. All right, we're getting to a morbid question.
Oh no.
If you had to choose, who would you rather beat to death with Lucille? Ezekiel or Jerry?
What kind of a question is that? Oh God, but I love them both. Oh God.
You have to. You have to beat one of them to death.
Oh, I hope the king doesn't hate me for this, but Ezekiel. Because I love Jerry, but I love Ezekiel. Oh God. So Ezekiel.
Oh my god. All right. Would you rather bring Shiva back to life or ensure that Judith survives until the end of the show?
I would say ensure Judith survives. 'Cause as much as I love Shiva, I want to see Judith survive.
Yeah. That's it. That's another, I feel like, tough one.
Yeah.
Would you rather be as smart as Eugene or as good of a shot as Sasha?
I think I would want to be as good a shot as Sasha.
Yeah. Might be more useful.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather make Carol look at the flowers or kill Michonne with her own sword?
Okay, listen. Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't. I love them both. They're two of my favorites. Oh. Can I just pretend I never heard the question?
No. You have to choose.
So it's basically either kill Carol or kill Michonne.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh God. Oh. Carol? No, Carol. Sure, I'm just gonna say Carol. Oh God, because I love Michonne. That's a
It was
hard
like
question.
it was like ripping off a band-aid for you. You were like, Carol,
Yeah.
please move on.
Oh God.
Who would you rather be on your side in a fight to the death, Rick or Daryl?
Rick.
Rick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good choice. And the last question, the final question, who would you bring back to life if you could? Glenn or Carl?
Oh God. Oh. Oh my God. Well, okay. Well, that's hard because I love Glenn to death, and Carl should never have even been killed off. Um. Oh God. Oh my God. Glenn.
I thought you were going to say like a joint of their names. You're like, Glarl?
It's like I'm trying to decide which one I want, but I can't. So I guess Glenn.
Okay. Fair enough. There are no right and wrong answers
Mm-hmm.
to these questions. Although I would save Glenn if anybody's,
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. All right. Well, that is basically it. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to record this with me. It
Well,
was
thank you for having me.
and so much fun going back to season 1 of all
This was fun.
seasons and like how crazy different the show has been.
Yeah.
Ever since then. And it really means a lot to me. And thank you so much. And guys, I will see you tomorrow for another day of Walking Dead. Bye.